Hello friends, subscribers and new viewers of this channel, and welcome to Machine Learning and AI Tutorials. In this tutorial, we explain how to download, compile and run locally one of the most advanced and amazing models for converting 2D images and text to 3D objects. We explain how to run this model locally on a Windows computer. In our previous tutorial, whose link is given in the description below, we explain how to run the model on a Linux Ubuntu computer. To make this video tutorial more compelling, here is a brief demonstration. On the right, that is over here, you can see a 2D image. Then, we provided this 2D image as an input to the model, and we asked the model to generate a 3D model. And here is the 3D model. Notice over here that I'm using Blender, which is a free and open source software, to show this 3D model. And you can see how amazing this model is. You can furthermore animate this model. You can also import it in a CAD program, or you can even develop a computer game by using this 3D model. What is interesting to observe over here is that the model cannot see anything behind this image. However, AI is smart enough to completely reconstruct the back of this robot, and you can see how amazing it is. You can see symmetry, you can see a lot of stuff. You can see even this wire over here that's somehow attached to this part over here, and then you can see some devices over here which are also nicely reconstructed. Then you can see the wires over here that look like some kind of nerves or arteries of this cyborg. This is truly amazing. And over here you can see another example. Here is the image and here is the generated model of a Shiba Inu. And you can see how nice it is. Look how the back is nicely reconstructed. It really looks like a dog. It's even proportional. That is, everything looks really proportional. You can see even the pose. If you see even this part over here. So everything is nicely modeled. And this model can serve as the basis for further development. That is, you can refine this model inside of Blender. And note over here how the fur is nicely modeled over here. You can see even these layers of fur. It's really amazing. The name of this model is Hunyuan3D 2.0, and over here you can see the official GitHub page of this project. Here you will find some installation instructions. However, these installation instructions are incomplete and might be challenging to follow them if you are a complete beginner. You will need to do several things in order to properly install this model. You will need to install necessary libraries to compile and to do a bunch of things. Over here you can try this model on this Hugging Face website. However, I noticed that you will quickly run out of the credit. Maybe you will be able twice to generate a 3D model, and then they will ask you to pay for subscription. So consequently, the best strategy is to download the model and to run it on your local computer. And that's what you will learn precisely in this video tutorial. First of all, let's explain our computer specifications and let's explain what are the prerequisites that are necessary to successfully run this model. We are running this model on NVIDIA 3090 GPU. The computer has 64 GB RAM and we have Intel i9 processor. We are running the model on Windows 11 in Python 3.12, and to compile the model we use the CUDA compiler 12.6. It takes maybe 1 or 2 minutes to generate a 3D model from the image on this computer. And let's start with the software prerequisites. You will need to install several programs in order to successfully run this model. Okay, let's start. Open Google and search for Microsoft Visual Studio C++, then click over here and you need to download and install Microsoft Visual Studio C++. If you click here, click on Community Edition, and Community Edition is completely free. After you click, a file will be downloaded. Double click on the file and install Microsoft Visual Studio C++ compilers. The next step is to install NVIDIA CUDA Toolkit. To do that, again, Google NVIDIA CUDA Toolkit, then click on this first website, then over here it's very important to get the correct version. So you need to go back and type 12.6. So click over here on downloads and then select Windows, select architecture, select 11, select local, and then this file you need to download and run it. And this will install the NVIDIA CUDA toolkit. This is very important step. In fact, I created a separate video tutorials explaining how to install Visual Studio C++ and NVIDIA CUDA toolkit, and I will provide links to these tutorials in the description below this video. It's very important to have these two things, otherwise you will not be able to successfully install and run PyTorch. Then you need to install Git for Windows. Search Git for Windows, go to this web page, download the 64-bit version since you're most likely running a 64-bit Windows. And then finally, if you want to visualize the model, you need to download and install Blender. To download and install Blender, go to this website, click here, and download Blender for Windows. Installation is really straightforward. Double click and follow installation steps, and that's it. Another thing to keep in mind is that you need to have Python 3.12. So any version of Python 3.12 will do the work. If you have Python 3.13 on your system, then most likely as of January 2025, you will not be able to successfully install PyTorch locally. The issue is that the newest version of PyTorch still doesn't support Python 3.13, and consequently you need to downgrade your Python to 3.12 any version over here. So to do that, you can click here on Python download, and if you go to this web page, you can see the other versions over here and you can download them. For example, you can do this version since I'm using this version over here and it works as it should work. The next step is to verify that you have all the necessary prerequisites installed, and for that you need to open command prompt. Okay, so let's start with installation. First of all, open a command prompt, and in the command prompt you first need to verify that you have Git and the CUDA compilers. To do that, first of all type nvcc --version and you should see something like this. If you see this, this means that CUDA compilers are installed, and also type git to make sure that Git is working and it's properly installed. The next step is to go to the root C drive, and over here you need to clone the remote repository. So let's see where is the repository. The repository is located at this link. Copy it over here or simply search for Hunyuan3D 2.0 and go to the GitHub page. Copy this GitHub page, go here and type git clone to clone the remote repository. This will download all the files from this repository and it will create a folder called Hunyuan3D on your C drive. Okay. And now you can navigate to Hunyuan3D and you will see that these files are the exact copy of the files on this website. Good. Let's continue. The next step is to create the Python virtual environment. To do that, you need to execute this command over here. And then after executing this command, you need to activate the Python virtual environment, and you need to do it by executing the next command. That is this command. And as the result, you should see in parentheses over here env1. This means that you're currently in the Python virtual environment and you can start with installation of the necessary libraries. First of all, we need to install Hugging Face Hub. We are going to use this library and all the packages to download the remote model from the Hugging Face repository. The next step is to install PyTorch with the CUDA support. The best way to do that is to go to the official PyTorch website. Consequently, Google install PyTorch locally. Click here and you will see this selection table. Click here on Stable, Windows, pip, Python, and make sure that you select CUDA 12.6 since the CUDA compilers should match this CUDA version and this installation command will be generated. Copy this command, go over here and execute this command. This will install PyTorch, Torch Vision, Torch Audio with the CUDA support, and your GPU will be exploited. That is, this model will be executed on your GPU. Consequently, be patient, since it's going to take even maybe 5 minutes or a similar amount of time to install this library. The next step is really critical, and you need to install pip install requirements.txt. Namely, in the file requirements.txt, there are a bunch of libraries that need to be installed, and by running this command you will automatically install everything in this file. Make sure that you properly spell everything and press enter, and you can see now that everything is being installed. There are a bunch of things that need to be installed, and you need to be patient since this step might take a while. So far we used pip and we used Python to install the libraries. The next steps are compilation steps, and they're important if you want to use the texture and if you want to use text to 3D object model. However, for the time being, you can also just live with the model that's currently being compiled. But let's try just in case to compile the additional stuff. Now, if you're experiencing some compilation errors, don't worry. The model will still work, however, you will not be able to use more advanced features. So let's first type this. That is, let's go to this folder over here, and in this folder, let's try to run this file. This is the setup file that will actually try to compile the texture model. So let's be patient over here and let's see what will happen. Again, if you experience some compilation errors, don't worry. I was able to compile this with only warnings, and in my case everything works as it should. Consequently, let's compile another model. For that purpose, go again to the base folder, then go to this folder, and inside of this folder again you need to run this file, and let's see what will happen. And again, wait until everything is being processed. So only warnings and no compilation errors. Good. So let's go back to the base folder, and inside of the base folder let's create another model folder. This folder will be used to download and store the models from the Hugging Face. So we are all set. The next step is to write the code that will download the model from a remote Hugging Face repository. For that purpose, I'm going to use Visual Studio Code, and I will run it like this. If you don't have Visual Studio Code on your system, don't worry, I created a separate video tutorial explaining how to install Visual Studio Code. A link to the installation tutorial will be given in the description below. And press enter. So let's create a new file, and let's call the file as download.py. Here it is. Make sure that you save this file in the workspace folder, and let's type the content of the file. And here's how the file looks like. From Hugging Face Hub, we are importing snapshot download. This function is used to download the remote repository. We need to specify the repository ID. Well, how to find the repository ID? You need to go to the Hugging Face website, and let's just go over here, and this is basically the name of the repository. So copy this part, paste it over here, and that's it. Next, you need to specify the path to the local directory. In our case, the path is in the model folder, and note over here how you need to modify the path. You need to use these double backslashes. Okay, so we are going to download everything in the model. To be more precise, and if you want to know more of what we are actually doing, if you go over here and you click on files, we are going to download everything from here. And it might take even, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes to download everything, since you're probably downloading 20 or 30 gigabytes of model weight. The next step is to run this file, so press and hold Ctrl Shift P, search for Python, select interpreter, and then over here make sure that you're selecting Python interpreter inside of your virtual environment, and then click here and the download process will start. If you're experiencing errors while downloading the model, that is, if for some reason the model cannot be downloaded from Hugging Face, click here and search for Use Developer Features. So click here and make sure that Use Developer Mode is on. This will enable you to use developer feature, which will enable Hugging Face Hub library to download the remote repository. Okay, so here's the model folder after everything is downloaded, and here are all the model files and folders. The next step is to copy images that will be used for testing the model over here. Now, I'm going to give you the images I have, so here they are. They're called test 1, test 2, test 3, and test 4. I'm going to simply copy them, and then I'm going to paste them in this workspace folder. That is, you need to paste them in the base folder. And let's see the images. Here's my beautiful Shiba Inu. Here is Shiba Inu as a robot. Here's a cyborg. And here is Alexander the Great statue. Okay, perfect. The next step is to test the model. So how to write a test script? Luckily, people who developed this amazing model have provided a minimal demo example, and if you open this minimal demo example, you can see some ideas on how to test the model. So over here, you need to insert your image, you need to insert the model path. However, you need to modify these paths since they are actually written for Linux operating systems. And there are a bunch of stuff over here that you need to download and change, not to download, to change. For example, over here model path, and over here model path. So luckily I want to help you. So I've wrote my own code based on this minimal demo example. However, you can also play with this minimal demo example and try to modify it and to independently change what needs to be changed. Okay, so I will close this and I will create a new file, and I will call it as test1.py. I will save it in this folder, and here I'm going to paste the content of the file I wrote, and I will show you what are the modifications. So first of all, here at the top I defined the image name. It's test3.png. To remind you, all the files are written like this: test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, and the extension is png. And over here I'm providing test3 png. I need to provide here a file name. This is the file name of the output file. I will call it mesh3.glb, and this file name is actually generated over here, and you can search elsewhere in this folder, actually in this code, only here at the end. And over here you need to specify the model path. This is the folder in which we stored the model. Okay, so let's see where the image name occurs, and this is what you need to modify. So just search for, let's start with this first. Here, image name, you can see here, then here, and finally here. So let's see file name. This is the final file, and you can see here and here. And then let's see the model path. So let's copy this. This is the model path here, here, here. That is at several places. And I'm going to provide a link to this code such that you can run this code independently. And let's run this code. To run this code, you need to do the following. Press and hold Ctrl-Shift-P, click on Python, select interpreter, make sure that you select interpreter in the virtual environment, and run over here. Now, what's happening behind the scene? First of all, it's going to take some time for the model to heat up, that is, to load all the weights in the computer memory. And over here you will see, first of all, only CPU will be used and memory here. Then later on you will see that GPU resources will also be used later on. However, the GPU will be used once the model is loaded and the inference process starts. So it's going to take a while to load everything. Once everything is loaded, it might take even 30 seconds to generate the file. Okay, so let's be patient. And over here you can see that something is happening. MC level 0.0 implicit function. I'm not sure what's actually happening behind the scene. However, we can see, is it an inference? It is an inference because you can see that the memory of the GPU is being loaded, and you can see that the GPU is used with full strength for some time. And let's see what happens at the end. You hear maybe behind the scenes that my GPU is working. You can hear the GPU fan, and bang. Let's see what happens. And GPU processor goes down. Let's see now what happens over here. Let's wait. And then over here, after some time, you should see that the file is being generated. Here still the GPU is working a little bit. However, that's it. So basically, we were able to generate the file. So let's find the file. Let's go to C drive. Let's go here. And over here, you should see the file. So where is the file? Here it is. So open the file, and here is the file. This is our Alexander the Great statue. You can actually open it by using, for example, this simple 3D viewer software, or you can use Blender. Let's learn how to open this file in Blender. To do that, click here, and after installing Blender, you can simply start Blender. Click here, erase this box by clicking and pressing delete, then click on File, click on Import, then click over here on this file format, then locate the file, actually the folder, and here is the file, and import it in Blender, and here it is. Beautiful. It looks really amazing. Okay, that's all for today. I hope that you like this video. If you like the videos I'm creating, please press the like, subscribe buttons, and see you in the next video tutorial. And all the files will be provided with a link.